massive patch. Now, I didn't rush to get this out, and if you're here only for the news, it will take a little bit because I'm assuming most people or a lot of people have already seen the patch notes, and I will be showing them on screen, but this is a discussion topic. Over half the roster was changed, and due to how nerfs work in general in this game is when one person is nerfed, inherently their counter or someone who they used to counter gets buffed. And with over half the roster changed, that means the entire meta is about to shift drastically. A lot of these nerfs aren't minor whatsoever, and I'm not gonna lie, I agree with this patch a lot. I really enjoyed this patch. The first thing is across the board, a lot of alts got nerfed in the sense of they need an extra alt point that reduces utility spam. That means it's less of a retake simulator that Valorant has slowly become, because naturally as the roster grows, there's more ways to stack certain utility, which can punish players in almost unfair ways. But let's start this topic with some heat. I'm talking about Jett. She was at the bottom of this article, but man, have they thrown insane amount of punches. It's insane. The developers say since the last time we released changes to Jett, she has continued to be mainstay of both competitive and professional play. They go on to say basically she's been too strong for too long. Starting with her tailwind, which is E, the dash window has decreased from 12 seconds to 7.5 seconds. At 12 seconds, Jett could often find value activating her dash without clear intention or make incorrect calls, but still have time to find another use for her dash. Shortening this window pushes Jett to be more deliberate with her calls and reduces Tailwind's power at defensively holding angles while minimally impacting her ability to proactively use the dash to break onto site. So this nerf makes a lot of sense. When you're attacking as Jett, to be honest, if you're planning to dash in, you're not going to feel this massive nerf nearly as much. Just wait a little longer before getting ready to activate. Furthermore, what it does punish is the defensive playstyle of Jett by using Tailwind without info. If you have info that they're going to push your site, then maybe you want to peek, you jump peek, you know they're there, then you activate, then you peek with Tailwind, if that makes sense. Instead of preemptively using it early, if they're not on site, then you can just waste it to rotate faster, and you basically have too much time to play with it. The activation has also increased from 0.75 to 1 second. Again, this hurts the defense more than anything. When it comes to attack, let's say you're pushing early enough, as long as you're activating it ahead, you'll be able to entry, and they want to leave that entry pretty strong on Jett, but they basically don't want you to be dashing around mid-fight nearly as much, and this will help reduce it. They say increasing Tailwind's wind-up should promote proactive use by reducing Jett's ability to activate it reactively when caught off guard or in the middle of a fight and successfully escape. So exactly what I just said. I should have just read the notes. The next one is definitely a doozy. Cloudburst, which is C, duration decreased from 4.5 seconds to 2.5 seconds. It has been slashed, dude. The smokes only last 2.5 seconds, and time to re-equip gun takes slightly longer after using that set ability. The developers say we want to reduce some of the persistent safety Jett gets dashing into or escaping with smokes, sharpening Cloudburst to be a fast but powerful tool that forces players to be quick and precise with their decisions. And this makes a ton of sense. What someone mentioned, which is Hunter Baby J, a Radiant peak, like #1 Radiant player, driving or I guess outlining roles is very, very important. And I couldn't agree more, in the sense that your duelist shouldn't be able to dash onto a spike, throw down the Cloudburst, get half the spike, shoot a couple, then throw down another Cloudburst and get another. Leave that for the controllers. Leave that for the team play. It reduces some of the one-man army that Jett has historically been. Updraft though, this one I don't know if I agree with. This one is maybe where they took it a step too far. Her charges have been decreased from 2 to 1. She only has 1 updraft, which is crazy. That changes the entire play of Jett like crazy. Like Jett is completely different in the where she can updraft, where she can throw her knives, where she can get to. Like, I don't know how much I agree with this one, but the developers say with 2 updrafts, we've seen moments where Jett escaped situations where they've been tactically outplayed by throwing enemies off by relying on updraft's unpredictable movement. We hope to reduce some of the unhealthy movement extremes updraft can produce and increase the importance of using it at the right time. And they're basically just talking about people who panic updraft facing 2-3 ways and throw off the enemy's aim and then escape. I'm not too happy with this one. I feel bad. I don't even main Jett and I feel bad. Bladestorm also ultimate point increased from 7 to 8. This one's pretty straightforward. They basically say that it's been up too often and they needed to nerf it. It's not too big of a deal. Killjoy, the ultimate lockdown, has been increased from 8 points to 9 points, which which is crazy. We're creeping up in ultimate points closer to 10. And you know what? This is Riot's commitment at making this more of a tactical shooter than utility spam simulator. I'm really not unhappy with these. These are solid changes without a doubt, without a single doubt. Viper, same idea. Viper's Pit, 8 to 9. That's also very, very similar. And also stuff like this, like Sova's Recon Bolt going from 3 scans to 2 is a similar idea. It's just so you don't have as much info. You can slow down the pace of the game a little bit more, and Valorant needs that because right now full rushes with coordinated teams are too intense. They're hard to fight. There's just been an increase on how much we're playing Retake Simulator. This is just a fact, and Riot is addressing it, and honestly, it's amazing. I'm super happy. The next thing is Skye. Skye, you know what? I will summarize this from other people's perspective as well as the developer's perspective. She's just been meta for far too long, and she's very, very reliable. I just started maining Skye, and she is strong. And I think these nerfs are actually very healthy. They're not too crazy. Her guiding light, which is her flash, her E, max duration while casting reduced from 2.5 seconds to 2 seconds, so it doesn't cover as long distances, but honestly, it'll still cover enough, far more than enough. Trailblazer, her Q, the wolf, HP reduced from 100 to 80. Same idea. You just got to make sure you're popping it around corners more effectively. You can't just run from a million miles away and then if they whiff a shot, it doesn't break. Good change. Her Seeker's ultimate point increased from 7 to 8, as well as Seeker health decreased from 150 to 120, so easier to break. I think they were already pretty easy to break, and that's someone who never hated Skye and just started maining Skye, so maybe I'm a little bit biased. But overall, great changes to Skye. Nothing too intense, but something that's needed. Omen, it's a little bit weird. Basically, his paranoia no longer has movement velocity, so if you're backing up or running forward, it won't change the speed. You know what? I think it's okay. It just brings some consistency to Omen. Maybe just have speeding it up a little bit and then just leaving it flat would have been good for Omen. He hasn't been exactly like overpowered or anything of that sort. Gecko also got some changes. His Mosh Pit, which is C, the impacted area does 10 damage per second before exploding. Pretty good. I kind of like this change. This change is pretty good. It means you can get some chip damage and don't have to rely on some crazy wombo combo to get any value out of this. This is really good. Wingman Q, HP reduced from 100 to 80. Rip Wingman. Little bro gonna die more. Thrash, his X, Thrash Explosion has a little makeover to make it easier to see and understand the area it has affected on top of being beautiful. So it's just a little bit of a quality of life. Nothing too crazy on Gecko. This is not enough to change his positioning in the meta alone. It's more about the other nerfs and changes that will change where he goes. Fade, Prowler, C. Time to re-equip gun takes slightly longer after using the ability. Don't know if it was really needed. Fade is very reliable, has been strong, but I mean, I guess the idea is if you hit your Prowler, it shouldn't be nearly as big of a deal to peek with it, but maybe it's just so you can't throw Prowler and peek and then get them when their crosshair placement is off shooting your Prowler. It's going to take a little bit longer, so it's just reducing the reliability of Prowler overall. Brimstone, his Orbital Strike, which is X, ultimate points increased from 7 to 8. Same idea here, reducing that util spam. Breach, Aftershock C. Ticks reduced from 3 to 2. Damage increased from 60 to 80. A lot of people are calling this a nerf. I think it's more of a change than a nerf. He basically claims an area for less time, right? So he loses control of an area for a reduced amount of time. But damage-wise, it's pretty good because 80 plus 80 is 160. You'll kill anyone instead of the 60 per tick, meaning you could leave someone with 30 HP. Most of the time, when someone's going to dodge your Aftershock, they're going to dodge the third tick. The final tick is the easiest one to dodge because they can literally just back out the longest route and make it through before the third tick hits unless they're planted. So damage-wise and kill potential-wise, I actually think this is a buff. But yes, you do reduce the amount of time that you're controlling that said area where you shoot it. Rolling Thunder is X. Ultimate point increase from 8 to 9 men. We're getting close to 10 points across the board. Again, less alts, really not a big deal. Alts are very strong in Valorant and maybe just a little bit too chaotic. Now, Astra. Dude, Astra's been quite a contentious topic. You buffer too much, we're going to have PTSD, but she's been kind of in the gutter for a while if you're not professional or playing with a team. This is what they've done to her. Gravity Well, startup time increased from 0.6 to 0.125, or sorry, from 0.6 to 1.25. Gravity time duration decreased from 2.75 to 2.0. Nova Pulse, which is her Q. Startup time decreased from 1.25 to 1.0. Cosmic Divide, which is her ultimate, now blocks audio completely rather than muffling it. So this is a completely, this is a shift to Astra, right? This is why I said she's been a little bit contentious. Her Gravity Well, which is by far her strongest, has been nerfed. Her Nova Pulse, which is her smokes, have come up faster now, and they're trying to like kind of shift from, they're shifting one utility into the other. I think nerfing the Gravity Well wasn't fully needed, but it is strong. It is a strong ability. But it's Cosmic Divide, her ultimate, that's changing the game. Putting up a wall that large that completely stops audio now is massive, because I'm not gonna lie, muffling audio did nothing. It did nothing. It did nothing. Maybe you'd get away with it if enough noise was going on, but it did nothing overall strategically. This is insane. The rotations with pro teams especially, diffusing without knowing if they're diffusing is crazy. Like throwing up your wall, if the enemies are on the opposite side when you start diffusing, or even if you don't diffuse, it doesn't matter. They're going to have to push you. They are going to be forced to push you because they won't know. They have no idea. You could be on the bomb. Maybe you're not on the bomb, but if you're on the bomb, they're going to lose. So they have to push you. Like, there's nothing. There's nothing that they can do except push through that. It's very similar if Killjoy threw down her ult, then tap the bomb once. It doesn't matter if you're holding it, if you're off of it, it won't matter. They have to push you because they know by the time the ult is done, you could fully defuse. It's a force. It's like a card that forces certain movement from the enemies, and they are the most entertaining because they come from strategy, they come from being smart, and they're just the most entertaining to watch. Overall, I think this patch is crazy. This video is much longer than most people's videos because I'm not just throwing the information out. I like to talk about it, I like to discuss it, and overall, I love the idea of the meta shifting like crazy. There are some things that I'm very surprised of, where I think indirect buffing won't do the job. For example, Harbor not getting any, not Harbor, sorry, my bad. Deadlock not getting any buffs is a little bit weird. Naturally, she's been underperforming, and it's a little bit weird she got no buffs at all, right? Raze is already strong, and with that Jet nerf as an entry, she's going to be stronger. Like, Raze is already strong, she's going to get stronger. Phoenix, I don't know if he's going to be made way enough, because if we think of who replaces Jet, maybe we'll see a little bit more Yoru for that entry, but it's not perfect, maybe. Overall, though, it's a huge shift. I like the Killjoy nerf because we need to see a little bit more Cypher, but they're still going to remain map dependent, which is again brings me back to why I think Deadlock needed a buff. Either way, across the board, things are going to be massively different, and I want to know your opinion in the comments down below.